On today's show, I'm bringing back a returning guest. He was back on my show back in August 27th of this year. We're talking no other than Route1, and you can find him on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol ROIUF. And if you're up there in Toronto, you can find him on the TSX Venture under the ticker symbol ROI. And with us today is the director and CEO of the company going to bring us up to speed, Mr. Tony Busseri. Tony, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Everett.
Well, congratulations. You guys just put out a press release on your numbers for the third quarter. And in that release, I saw that you guys had an operational update indicated that the company's Q3 revenues were up 31% over Q2. More importantly, the revenue generated was a record gross profit for Route1 of more than $3 million and a little bit more than 8% over Q2. What's the driving force on this?
I appreciate the question. Look, there's a few things that are coming together here. One, obviously, COVID-19 during the third quarter, we started to see manufacturing in America start reopening, which is helpful. We continue to have growth also with our software security technology called MobiKey, particularly with the U.S. federal government on the Department of Defense side. So there's a few things going well, but I think it's overall the business model that we have allows us to bring many different things to the marketplace in the context of working with our clients to secure and use their data in a way to create better outcomes. And heaven knows that right now, business in America is struggling and looking to find creative ways to reduce costs, improve profitability, and stay open in a lot of cases and be able to move forward. This is different times for us, but we have a role to play in that, and we've been very active with most of our different client profiles, and I would say that the third quarter being robust and better than Q2 is great, but I would expect Q4 to be that much better versus Q3.
You noted that Route1, again, generated more gross profits per sale and marketing dollars invested in Q3 of any prior 5 quarters. As an outline in this morning's press release that you guys put out, it was, I think, around 3.3 versus 1 to 2.8 versus 1 from Q3 to Q2. In our prior discussions, you've also mentioned a goal of being in the low 3s to around 3.25. I have 2 questions for you. The first one, why is this ratio so important to Route1? And the second is, what is the driving improvement here?
Right. I think it's really important for our shareholders to understand that each time we invest a dollar in sales and marketing initiatives, there's an expectation of a return or a value with it. And what we're sharing with this metric is simply this. For every $1 of sales and marketing expense, we're generating $3.30, at least in the third quarter of 2020, in gross profit. And that's far better than what we've seen historically, where a year ago in the same quarter it was, as you said, $2.80.
Right.
In the second quarter of 20, it was $3.10. So what it really says is a couple things. We are doing a better job with the money we spend and generating more gross profit per dollar. And I think it's really important because it comes back to responsibility of management to ensure that what we're investing has a benefit for our shareholders. Look, any good business as it hits critical mass is going to see better and better returns for each sales and marketing dollar invested. It also says that the more we can generate in software as a service oriented revenues and retain those clients year after year is going to generate a better and better ratio, because once you have that client, you're not having to do new initiatives to grow that. What you need to do is continue to have that same person having a strong, productive relationship and renewing them on a yearly basis. So our model is that nice mix of owning our own software applications and that SaaS-based model and renewing the clients at a very high rate. And it also has that new growth or organic growth feature related to projects for license plate recognition, body-worn cameras, those type of things. And that does take a few sales and marketing dollars to grow the relationship base and new accounts. But we're really pleased to be already at 3.3 to 1 as it pertains to that ratio in the third quarter. And I would expect Q4 again to be better. And we'll eventually start aspiring to get to between 3.5 and 4 times for every one sales and marketing dollar expense. So real pleased with this, and I think it's a real good metric for our shareholders to look at as we grow the business. Are we doing it responsibly? Are we doing it efficiently? And effectively, are we creating the profitability for the investment we're making?
Speaking of metrics, also you put out on your press release that you guys currently have around 2,000 MobiKey users. And in that, and correct me if my metrics are wrong here, you said I think we can get that to 4,000 by December 1st of this year.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is that we recently announced a new contract with a component of the U.S. Department of Defense.
Right.
They bought 4,000 users on the enterprise license agreement. We're provisioning them, or in the first, call it 45 days or so of that, and they've already used 2,000 of the 4,000, and we would expect to get up to that full license hopefully by the end of November for them to use all 4,000. Why I mentioned that is, with any luck and interest, they're going to grow that base, and we'll be able to announce a growth from that 4,000 user enterprise license agreement to something more like 5, 6, or 10,000. So we're really pleased with onboarding with this group. It's gone well, and with, again, any luck, we will have completed that onboarding in the next 35 to 40 days and be looking at growing that account.
You guys, you talked about earlier about a release commentary on video-based technologies growing use to support and transparent responsibility for law enforcement. Can you share any more views additionally on that, and how is that going to impact your company?
Yeah, look, I think it'd be wrong not to acknowledge that things continue to change in our great country, and how law enforcement or policing works within the community is changing the investments or pivoting the investments they make. And, you know, we're quite excited to work with communities and law enforcement to deliver responsible, transparent policing. And what role do we play? Technologies like license plate recognition technologies like body-worn cameras, all go to the theme of transparency and using technology to provide safer communities. And I think, look, all Americans, what do we want? We want safe communities where children can play outside. We know that the bad people are going to be held accountable and addressed as appropriate. What we want to do is not take a position politically speaking. We want to provide those tools so that anybody in their community can be safe and enjoy the benefits of living in this great country. When I come back to what's the growth opportunity for us, obviously, as an investor in Route1, you're going to be looking for us to grow our project-based work around installing, provisioning, and supporting communities and parking lot operators, et cetera, in the use of license plate recognition technology. I mean, that technology has saved so many children's lives. When you think of Amber Alerts and the fact how important it is right after there's notification of abduction, as an example, that we're able to track plates and find that car where there might be a young life at risk. And I think that's a really good, productive use case of that technology. Simply put, also our governments, whether it be municipal or state level, are looking for new revenue streams, or to take advantage of the revenue streams that are on the books under law right now. LPR is used for parking enforcement, whether that's along the curbside in a downtown area or a formal parking lot. And these tools are appropriate. And if they're passed by law already, then we look to sell these technologies to the community so they can realize on that revenue, and we share a small piece of it. Body-worn cameras is a new theme, obviously, or a higher profile theme with some of the social unrest over the last half year. You know, what's being demanded is accountability on all sides. And what body-worn cameras do is provide documented evidence of what transpired. It's data, so it's not biased or prejudicial. It's just data that's available in the form of video. And if we can support that in capturing it and storing it and securing it and encrypting it, I think that's a good role for us to play. And again, just saying, here's the information for whatever the community, including obviously its citizens and the taxpayers, decide to use that data for. Again, not taking a position on it, just making it available and ensuring that it's available for all and it's protected and secure.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100%. You know, we're in a changing environment and things are changing. Speaking of that, I just want to change a story here just for a second. In Q1 of this year, you guys did $6.3 million. Just now today, you put out a press release. You did $9.1 million, almost 50% up. I say that to say this: your market cap's only $15.8 million. What gives here? It just seems like your company is grossly undervalued.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure at the end of the day we're as easy as an investment to understand. There is some complexity when we deal with data security, when we deal with technologies that deal with things like license plate recognition. Look, I think an investor needs to look at the growth and recurring revenue that we're generating. Overall, the cash flow we're generating as a business off of this business theme. There's those that joke sometimes to say, oh, you're a small CGI or IBM. Look, we're none of those. What we are not is we're not a value-added reseller. We're not an independent software vendor. We're a company that works with others' data to secure it, to make it available and transparent, and to create outcomes with it that make those businesses or government actions more direct and have a better outcome ultimately. And it's easy to understand in business, like if we're working with a tier one automotive parts manufacturer, we're going to work with them to use their data to analyze on a real-time basis and address things that aren't working the way they should, such that their profitability is better. That's an easy one. There's other cases where we're working with industry to help them pivot to create a more sustainable approach to the marketplace. When it comes to government, obviously securing data and allowing our government employees and contractors to deliver better outcomes for us, the taxpayers, is a really good theme. We're involved in all of those. You can say Route1 is exceptional at data security with technologies like MobiKey and Drive ID, and that's absolutely accurate. We're also really good at data analytics and working with, particularly right now, the automotive sector and the tier one and the OEMs to use their data to get, again, better outcomes. And so I could go on, and we're moving more and more into our communities to work with law enforcement, also leadership, however that's defined, to ensure it's a safe community. I think we have a role to play in all three. We've just talked about. If that's a little complex for people, I apologize about it. What it does allow us to do is say simply this. Whatever your challenge is, we think we have a role to play to ensure you get a better outcome. And it all pertains to using the information, the data.
Well, Tony, like I said, congratulations on this quarter, up almost 50% from quarter number one. I think you and your team should take a bow. I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Hopefully you'll come back in 40 or 50 days and give us an update of what's going on.
Look forward to it, sir. Thank you.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by La Jolla Media LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are for educational and research purposes. Stock Day encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional.